And I'm just hoping that people like Steve on Agenda Free TV are not trying to immediately insist that in any way, shape, or form, because it's way too early to get people. You got jokes, dude. This is serious. We've got multiple locations, okay? Alright, that's silent for a moment. Let's see what's being said on Twitter. See if wonder if the OSUN community has anything. Police are really just everyone's just really kind of reporting suspects still at large. Call 911 at scene. People are being asked to report in place, and that's kind of all we're getting right now. Okay, sorry, I had a squirrel moment there. Somebody, I was replying to somebody on Twitter. Okay, so here is something. 3 air ambulances are en route to Lewiston, Maine for shooting situations. Got an article here that might be interesting. It's from the Independent. Kind of thought the Independent was trying to figure out if that's more of an international publication. But I'm just gonna read that here. It's one thing I do gotta do before I can read that. Sorry. I will read actual articles when I can on these sorts of things. So this is from the Independent. Lewiston shooting police hunt active gunman after incident in Maine. Police urge residents to shelter in place during hunt for gunman, so that we kind of already know. Police in Maine are hunting an active gunman after shooting in the city of Lewiston with reports of multiple casualties at different scenes. There are 3 crime scenes. So, at one point we were hearing them before. I'm gonna go with it that there's at least 3. And they're talking about there are 3 crime scenes, including the Spare Time Recreation, Shemingi's Bar and Grill Restaurant, and the Walmart Distribution Center, according to the Sun Journal. There's an active shooting in Lewiston. We ask people to shelter in place. Call 911. This was tweeted by the Maine State Police. So let's go to their Twitter. That's probably a good idea.
County Sabatis 3.
Alright, so I'll keep an eye on their Twitter account. Does it look like we're getting anything out of that article that I didn't already know? It's giving me a direct link to their Twitter account and get this
County Sabatis units. I'm getting a caller stating there's a live feed from the Rusty Lantern in Sabatis, 2 shooters.
Oh. That's not good. Somebody's got a live scene? Live stream? Is that what the fuck he said? This is the one thing that I hate about this thing that I'm using. It's helpful in some ways, not always so helpful in others. Gotta... Excuse me.
County, any further callers about the Russian land status?
The other 37 is still on the line with them, trying to get further.
10-4 myself, 12-4 being room.
10-4.
14 carry myself and 26 head to the Rusty Lantern Sabatis.
I want to see if this embed code will work. I don't think it will, but we'll try.
County all units. Also a call received on Moody Road, Lisbon. Sound of gunfire.
Damn it!
Send that way. Check it out. 22 County.
22.
We're moving to the front of the distribution center with approximately 30 employees now.
10-4, you're moving to the front of the center with approximately 30 employees.
So they're clearing them out, they're getting them evacuated. Is essentially what that means.
County, all units, per the Sabatis units, negative at Rusty Lantern. Again, negative at Rusty Lantern.
County to units in Sabatis. We just got a call in reference to the scene there. The subject left northbound on 126, unknown description of the vehicle.
I hate my life. I hate the way my system works. I'm sorry. Y'all don't get a damn picture of what the person looks like constantly on screen. Not if you want to continue to listen to what is the most important. And honestly, what is the most important is anything that you're going to hear here. So, it's the way it is. There's probably some sort of trick to getting certain things to work on here, but I haven't been able to figure out what it is. There's still no updates from the main police specifically. On their Twitter. The Facebook page. The address, Scoggin County Sheriff's Office. Except with what they posted an hour ago. There's not much. Hamas style? What? Try to be a little bit serious here, people. So, apparently what happened at the Walmart distribution center, and That's kind of what I thought I heard, too. I wasn't understanding what you were trying to say. I'm sorry. I kind of thought that was what they said, but sometimes they say things really fast. It could have been said he was seen and not streamed. But, one report from Twitter is here that was reported at the Androscoggin SO that the two men showed up in front of the building about 12:20. Why are they using military time? Fuck these people. I think this is 20:05. I think that's 10:05, right? 10:05. One brandished a firearm. This is at the Walmart distribution center, and that was something that we heard on this scare. Is that he was there and he tried 8:05? Thank you. Don't ask me to do that kind of math. Ah! Okay. Calm myself. That was kind of what we heard alluded to.
19 to 22, 7's making his way to you. This is 11 DSJ,
See, I couldn't make any of that out. Is today the start of Hanukkah? I don't know why somebody was putting that on Twitter, because it's definitely a start of Hanukkah. Oh wait, that was an old tweet that showed up. What the, ugh. Come on, Twitter. Don't confuse me with old posts. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. We gotta go to CNN. Shit, 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 shit. I gotta see what they actually are saying on CNN before I confirm this. They're trying to say...
Do we have any updates on the Walmart?
Updates on Walmart.
2, I overheard Lewiston. They're all clearing. I think they can head back to the PD to stage.
Yeah, they've cleared that all out.
Okay, and all of our units, are they heading back here as well? I was on the far end, not with everyone else. But I think everyone's going back to their cruises now. Thank you.
ABC News is reporting something that doesn't sound good.
All the customers and employees from Baxter have been
They were
removed.
trying to say
Temple.
that somebody who was sharing it was also trying to say that
18
CNN
at 2, I was
giving
on
a very
statewide. What's the plan right now?
large number, and that does not appear to be true. Maybe I can get this. Alright, so more than 10 dead, dozens injured in Lewiston, main mass shooting, sources say. At bowling alley in
18
Lewiston,
county to 2.
under fire Wednesday
Just came back to my
evening.
cruiser. I was on
Additional
statewide.
reports
What's the
of shots
plan? Are we
fired at a
heading back to
bar at a
LPD?
Walmart distribution center. The suspect is
18
not
East
in
New England with us
custody.
now.
More than 10 dead.
10 to 18, head back to LPD.
Shit.
10-4, thank you.
You know, let me play that. Oh, that's something, that's something unrelated.
The American Diabetes Association.
We don't care about that. Shit. That many possibly dead was not what I was wanting to hear. Supposedly, CNN was saying a lot more.
Q County, you ready to copy a possible suspect?
2, go ahead.
Hey, put it out. Looking for a Robert Card, CARD 4483. Should be operating main 9246, Paul David, 9246, Paul David, 2013 Subaru Outback.
Robert Card?
10-4-2, Robert Card, 4483, operating 2013 Outback, 9246, Paul David.
Well, put it out to all our units, please.
Temple, break. County communications to all units. Stand by for Bolo on the suspect. Again, Bolo on the suspect.
Oh, wow. Card doesn't
County
sound like
communications
a
to
police
all
name to
units.
me.
Bolo, Robert Card, 44-1983, believed to be operating main PC at 9246, Paul David. It'll be a 2013 Subaru Outback. Again, Robert Card, 4483, believed to be operating main PC at 9246, Paul David, 2013 Subaru Outback.
Okay, copy. Can you text it out to the patrol, please?
Temple.
What's the color?
I will let them know.
Vehicle will be a white 2013 Ford, correction, Subaru Outback. Again, a white 2013 Subaru Outback.
A white 2013.
County
That's
2.
kind of what I thought they were saying.
Oh,
I have Homeland Security on the line. They're wondering
what?
if you want their assistance or are you all set?
Oh, shit. Homeland Security?
I think right now we're all set. We have plenty of officers here.
Oh,
10-4, thank you.
Can you make sure that Lisbon, the subject, I believe, out of Bowdenham, so make sure those units down in that area now?
10-4.
7-2. Yeah, we've been requested to relocate the call. So you good with that? Yep, that's fine.
Nine, counting clear of Walmart, enter to the call site.
Two, kind of, do we have an incident in Sabatis?
County Sabatis units. County Sabatis units. We just were told that the suspect's next location is going to be in Mixers. I understand it's been shut down, but he's going to be in that area.
Oh my word. They have an area that they think, oh shit.
Tenfold. County ASO units, you copy. Apparently the family member was told by him that that's where he was going next is Mixer.
What is he saying? Mitcher?
Victor, are we diverting that way or continuing to the call site?
Oh wow.
County 2.
Good.
That bill has been passed on to Lisbon and SAG. They already had the information. They're sending some units to the suspect's address. It'll be 1007 West Road.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the last that traffic had on going next? We were just told that the suspect was going to head towards Mixers. I understand that they've been closed, but that's where he was planning.
I'm just gonna guess that it's saying Mixers, M-I-X-E-R-S. Apparently he told a relative.
You know, going in, just so you're aware, Mixers was never open at all today, so there was no one to
Mixers
evacuate.
was never open at all. Okay. See, I'm looking for anybody on Twitter to announce that the guy's name is Robert Card. And they aren't.
2 County.
2, go ahead.
Add to the Bolo, the front bumper is a different color than the rest of the car.
10-4. All units be advised on that vehicle, the front bumper will be a different color. Front bumper's a different color.
See, ABC was reporting 10. CNN is reporting 16 people.
To 19. Good. to 7. Did you have traffic for me? 25 to 19. What's your 1020? Alfred Ford. Turn on the Lewiston. There's a male matching description walking up the sidewalk. Black backpack, beard, ball cap. By the Irving. 10-4.
I just think some people are going to have egg on their face if they're trying to already announce that it's Middle Eastern. And the guy's name was Robert Card, C-A-R-D. Does that sound Middle Eastern to you?
25, 10, 10, 29.
25. 25.
Last name Townsend, Townsend, first name Joseph, Joseph, 71289.
25 had that subject out of Lisbon Falls, license status suspended, code F, negative 29, 10-3.
I mean, sometimes these feeds, they can be talking about other crimes that have also been reported at the same time, so... Maybe we've misunderstood and they're just talking about random shit. But that at the time is what I took that to mean. Okay, so I'm gonna put out a tweet here because I am getting some information here that I believe is accurate because it's confirming what I was hearing.
722. Can you text me a picture of that car that you had?
Now there's reports of there being 22 dead. This just keeps getting worse. And that's what, is being reported on Agenda Free TV. Okay, and he's confirming something that we have heard on the live stream about a vehicle.
20.
So there you go, there's that. It is believed the front bumper may be painted black. So
10-4 subject dropped off at the Sheriff State Hotel.
they are looking for a Subaru Outback White 2013. So I'm putting that out on Twitter because I wasn't seeing it anywhere. So there are being some initial reports here that I've seen of 22 dead. There are reports of a pressure soon. I don't know if it's Fox News. Some people are trying to say that Fox News is saying that he's in custody. Oh my god.
We make money. That's what we are here to do. That's why you put capital into the stock market. But the mechanics of how you do it.
But they're not mentioning a name, which is weird. So there's nothing on here on Fox News about saying that he's in custody. Yes, and I am getting confirmation finally from somebody that his name is Robert Card. That's from Laws Alert. Ha! I posted it before you, bitch! No, just kidding. Sorry, I'm supposed to be serious here. But so far, there is nothing here.
We make money. That's what we are here to do. That's why you put capital into the stock market.
About him being in custody. So people need to chill out about that. Some people have commented, how could he shoot so many people across so many locations? And it's like, you know, they're barely like a mile apart from what I understand. It's not that hard, people. Take a big old drink and just got pop all over me. That was smart. This is why I don't show myself on screen. Not only does nobody want to see my fat 42-year-old butt, my fat 42-year-old face. Cat. He was sleeping on my bed at one point. Where'd he go? They're going strangely quiet. I really didn't want the numbers from the shooting to go up. I really didn't want that.
What we define as a grid search, meaning that they're using whatever video feeds from many of the various buildings there to try to determine what location the shooter was in. Now, we know that there were at least 3 different crime scenes here. And as a result of that, the big question, and we don't have that answer, and perhaps we're going to learn it in the news conference, is was it only one shooter or do they have other shooters that they are out there looking for? This is a manhunt. So what you have is a controlled situation here where you have federal agents, not only the FBI, but AT&F is also there on the scene assisting local law enforcement. And as Nicole said, because this is a situation that happened in Lewiston, Maine there, the local authorities are the ones who are going to be in charge. But you must just remain in your homes, locked in. Wait until there's an all clear. We don't have that yet. The suspect or suspects may very well be in custody, but we really don't know that. So what we're going to have to wait here is for the press conference to get more information. But one of the good things about it is that they have on video, they have at least one suspect, and they know what he looks like. They know what kind of a weapon he has. And that's very important and instrumental in bringing this to some closure here tonight. But 22 casualties, that's just such a sad, sad situation to have taken place. And one of the things we always want to know, Sean, in these matters is what was the motive. Perhaps they will be able to tell us something at this press conference, and maybe the investigation certainly is continuing, and they may not have that information at this time.
All right, Ted Williams, stand by. We'll get back to you as well. We are awaiting any moment now a press conference from local law enforcement in Lewiston, Maine. If you're just joining us, we have now 22 confirmed dead. They've identified what they believe are 3 locations where these shootings took place: a Walmart distribution center, a bar, another undisclosed location. Some have said, our own Bill Malugin suggesting that picture right there shows a bowling alley. Both the FBI is supporting and have mobilized and are assisting. Maine State Police have taken the lead investigative role. Conflicting reports about one possible suspect in custody. But the local hospitals have, in the area of Lewiston, Maine, said that this is now officially a mass casualty event. Residents, again, just for general knowledge, have been advised to lock their doors, shelter in place. We bring in former governor and former UN ambassador and now presidential candidate Nikki Haley's with us. Usually it would be fun to have you on. This obviously changes the mood of the country tonight. 22 people. It's a lot of people. What bothers me, and I could literally probably count the seconds before an incident like this becomes politicized. And that part of it I never like, because that's not going to bring back lives. And then I always ask the question, when something like this happens, what is your plan? What do you do? I have a personal security plan. I train in mixed martial arts. I've been a big believer in the Second Amendment for a long time, with the prayer that I never would have to use it. Maine happens to be a rural area where people tend to be involved in outdoor sports. So I would imagine a lot of people are going to have a lot of defense issues. But the bigger question, what do you see as the underlying cause of a lot of these shootings?
I mean, first of all, Sean, I'll tell you, the world is on fire. I mean, we see it. We see it with wars around the world. We see it in our schools. We see it with protests on college campuses. We're seeing it here. But what does this come down to? We have got to start really getting focused and serious. That means we need serious law and order. That means that we need to defund sanctuary cities. But that means we need to acknowledge the cancer in America that is mental health. 1 in 3 Americans suffers from mental health. If treated, they can live a perfectly normal life. If not, it spirals out. We see more and more young people suffering from stress, depression, and that's leading to addiction. We don't have enough mental health therapists. We don't have enough mental health treatment centers, and we don't have enough addiction centers. And what I'll tell you is we're watching now 80% of our mass shootings are mental health related. So think about that. 70% of those shootings, the shooter is suicidal. We've got to start acknowledging what this all means. There's a lot we can do, but we don't need to pity ourselves. We need to say, at what point are we going to stop the chaos?
But so many people that have these mental health issues, the last thing they want to do is acknowledge that they have a mental health issue. Therefore, how do you possibly convince them to get the help that perhaps they, in their own minds, don't think they even need?
We don't have enough mental health counselors. There should be a mental health counselor in every single school to identify kids that are suffering. There needs to be one on every college campus that identifies kids that are suffering. We have to be able to see it. Most of those, if you talk to the younger generation, they will tell you if they have anxiety, stress, or depression. They just don't know, they don't have a place to go. And if you happen to get one of those things, the therapist, the mental health center, the addiction center, insurance doesn't cover it. And we have to start treating this for the crisis that it is. We have to start acknowledging the fact that this is happening. And you look at the chaos and the hate and the division that's happening in this country. When are we going to say enough is enough? And when are we going to start to heal and say, we've got to start getting sober and start realizing we've got to take things into our own hands and start getting our country strong again?
No, I agree. Last thing, we have a new speaker today. Was it damaging to the Republicans to go through this exercise, or was it a healthy process?
No, it was incredibly damaging because, you know, when I was governor, I had a Republican House and a Republican Senate that would butt heads all the time. And I'd bring them into a room and I'd say, we're not leaving until you figure this out. Yeah. And I wouldn't let South Carolinians see how the sausage was made. What made me mad was, one, they would leave. They wouldn't stay and do their job. Two, we paid them for not doing their job. And three, they created chaos and stress among the American people at a time that we needed a budget, we needed a defense bill. And you look, Congress has one job, and that's to give us a budget on time. Congress has only given us a budget on time 4 times in 40 years. Yeah. 4 times in 40 years. Now my hope is we have a new speaker. Congress, get to work, because there's no shortage of issues. We don't want you talking about it. We want you to start getting things done. All
right, Governor, we will be talking about other issues on another night. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the people.
Absolutely.
And the victims here tonight. We are getting some updates and some reports. We just confirmed NBC News is now reporting 50 to 60 people now also injured, on top of 22 people confirmed dead at this hour. We are following this very, very closely. As you can see, we expect a press conference in Lewiston, Maine, any moment now. When that happens, 22 confirmed dead. We now have NBC reporting 50 to 60 people, in fact, have been injured. This seems to be a much larger shooting than we thought at the top of this hour. 3 locations: Walmart distribution center, a bar, another undisclosed location. The FBI, Maine State Police taking lead investigative roles. And hospitals saying, yes, this is a mass casualty event. All right, joining us now, National Law Enforcement Counterterrorism analyst Aaron Cohn is with us. Aaron, as you look at this, again, information is coming and changing, fairly quickly. What comes to the top of your head, and what is law enforcement's first moves here?
Well, I don't really believe in coincidences, Sean, obviously from my IDF days. But I've also been training law enforcement for over 20 years. I teach the Israeli model for counterterrorism when it comes to active shooter response. Like Nikki said, it's very hot right now. There's a lot of things going on in the world. And because I don't believe in coincidences, my immediate instinct is to lean into what's happening in Israel right now with Hamas. Having said that, the law enforcement cap that I'm going to throw on right now is state investigators and federal investigators need to do their diligence. They need to investigate. And while my instinct is leaning me towards a potential hate crime, again, because I don't believe in coincidence, the fact is that everything needs to be unturned. Every stone needs to be looked under. Every inch of the shooting needs to be looked at. And at this point right now, it sounds like the threats have been contained. If there's investigating going on, I don't know. Do we know if all of the threats have been neutralized?
Well, at this point, what we know is that we just don't know. All we know is Maine State Police have taken the lead role,
really kind of a long
and that they're telling the residents in Lewiston and surrounding areas to lock their doors, shelter in place, and again,
which means they're still actively clearing, Sean. So what happens now is whoever the first responders were on scene, whatever local police officers arrived, will have acted into what's called the alert response.
long
That's
history of just being
a
terrible
protocol that was
places.
put out by the Federal Law
And I'm
Enforcement Training
concerned
Center
about people
a couple
being
of decades ago following the
forcefully
Columbine shooting. It
institutionalized
involves tactics and
when they
protocols
don't
for
need to
small
be.
clusters of first responders, patrol, school resource officers. Everybody goes through this training. It's post-mandated or peace officer standard and training mandated in every state from California all the way to New York, down to Florida. And that training is specific to be able to get into those structures outside and inside and be able to start methodically clearing until they can get a more specialized tactical unit like a SWAT team on site. That SWAT team will then show up with their tactical gear, with wearing vests, with ARs.
What I wasn't sure is what
secondary
Vivek
weapons,
Ramaswamy's
proper protected gear
plan
like we
was
see on
to
special ops soldiers. They'll
make
be
sure
enter those structures and start clearing
that,
those threats in order to be able to sterilize them. They want to neutralize all the threats first. That's first and foremost. So I don't know. We don't know what exactly the situation is right now in terms of the tactical
people getting
response.
hospitalized because
First
we get
responders are
paid
those
so
that's
much
that
for
primary
every
wave.
person we
They're going to get the call.
here.
They've been getting better over the years. So of the SWAT teams, I've been training them for a long time. However, as I said on television with you and with multiple networks over the last how many days?
Just kind of the way it is.
If in fact this is a hate crime, it's a much larger problem, which is going to require a much larger body of training for these TAC units and SWAT teams. They train part-time. Only big cities like LA, Miami, Chicago have the bigger issue to look at here. So hopefully those threats are neutralized. After the neutralization of those threats at those multiple locations, which I said was going to happen, again, I don't know if it's connected to hate crime. It's too early to tell. But the fact is everything's on fire. Afterwards, a methodical sweep with those canines and with those SWAT teams will then begin to start clearing out those structures, looking for anybody who still might be a threat.
All right, Aaron, we appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us. All right, for new information, apparently we go back to our own Bill Maloogian, who has an update and some more breaking news tonight. Bill.
Yeah, Sean, just a few moments ago, Lewiston police put out a photo of a vehicle they are looking for. If we can pull that photo up right now, this appears to be a white Subaru Outback. Police asking anybody who saw this vehicle tonight to please contact them. They say the front bumper may be painted black. They're not confirming that this is potentially a suspect vehicle, but obviously given the fact that they are releasing this image to the public and asking people for any information on it, this is going to be a vehicle of interest, potentially driven by one of the gunmen or the gunman involved in this mass shooting. And if we can pull up the photo of that gunman one more time, everything we're hearing from law enforcement right now is they still want folks to shelter in place, lock their doors. They're still describing this as an active manhunt. The sheriff's department out there releasing this image of that gunman walking into what appears to be a bowling alley armed with what appears to be some sort of a rifle, and he is aiming that rifle inside of that venue. I mentioned it's likely a bowling alley just because of the what you can see in that frame right there. We don't have that confirmed from law enforcement, but you can see bowling balls to the left. You can see pins on the door. It does appear to be a bowling alley. A grim update we got about 15, 20 minutes ago. Law enforcement sources telling Fox's Jackie Heinrich at least 22 people are dead in shootings at multiple locations. One of those locations, a bar, another location, a Walmart distribution center, and then an undisclosed third location. We don't know if it was potentially that bowling alley where it appears this man was caught on surveillance camera walking into earlier this evening. All we know is the sheriff's department put those images out saying they are responding to, quote, 2 active shooter events. Again, we still don't know if they mean 2 potential shooters or it was 2 locations at the time. What we're hearing now is there was a shooting at multiple locations. Again, 22 dead, and NBC News reporting dozens more injured, potentially between 50 to 60 people. That has not been confirmed by Fox News yet. That is some of the reporting that is out there. What we do know, one of the local hospitals out there, the Central Maine Medical Center, saying they are responding to a, quote, mass casualty, mass shooter event. They did not give any specifics on how many patients they are treating, but the newest information we got in the last few minutes was police put out that image of that vehicle. There had been some initial reports coming in that potentially somebody was in custody. That is unconfirmed. I want to stress that. There's been no confirmation, no announcements from law enforcement that they've got any.
I need to share this for a minute here. They're talking about where the vehicle has been seen.
114 County, what's the location of that white Subaru? It's going to be the boat launch near the intersection of 196 and Frost Hill Ave.
So
Again, the
they've seen it
boat
at the
launch
boat
near
launch.
196 Frost Hill Ave, the paper mill trail. In Lisbon? 10-4, in Lisbon.
So at some boat launch in Lisbon as a possible location of where this vehicle has been seen.
Once this eventually once this is captured, or if he's taken down by law enforcement, the ATF will obviously respond. They're going to get their hands on that rifle and try to run an emergency trace. Sean, that's what we got right now. As we still wait for a press conference, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Bill Malugin, we'll wait for that press conference. Obviously, we'll have it live right here on the Fox News channel. Please stay with us for our continuing coverage. We bring in our friend Piers Morgan. Normally, you and I would personally, on a level, we'd have a debate on some issues, including this issue, which we've discussed, debated
many times.
That's not what's at issue here tonight, because there's so many factors that we don't know,
right.
The reason, the why, the wherefore, but there's always the finger pointing, predictable political finger pointing. That frustrates both of us. That's one thing we agree on.
The one thing I've learned about this whole issue is it's an American issue. Americans don't want to hear people with my accent lecturing them on how to lead their lives or what culture they should have in their country, and I learned that, and I respect that. Having said that, that image of that guy there clutching what appears to be, I guess, a semi-automatic rifle, whatever it may be, we don't know yet, and we don't know what his motivation is. We don't know exactly what's happened here or why, and to preempt that is stupid, and to try and score points is stupid. But America has to look at these images, which come again and again and again, and just understand that to the rest of the world, this seems crazy, that this, in a country like America, which is such a can-do country, which fixes problems, which is the #1 superpower in the world, that this thing that keeps recurring of these mass shootings in civilian circumstances, that nothing can be done to prevent them.
Tell you one thing, there's an image of that too, of somebody in their home that will save their children's lives,
right,
because they have that. Or in their place of business, they will save their lives.
In a country with 400 million guns in circulation, I understand why Americans feel the need to arm themselves. I totally get that. But this is an absolute
I will tell you this, defund, dismantle, no bail laws, no punishment for even violent crimes. You know, we had a January 6th committee. We never had a committee for the 574 riots that killed dozens, billions in property damage, thousands of injured cops. We held none of them accountable.
You can't defund the police, get the cops back in the streets, and mental health is obviously going to be, I would imagine here, another major factor. And that is a recurring problem as well.
Normally we'll have you back and have a fun discussion. Good to see you, my friend, in person. Thank you. All right. Now, that is all the time we have. Thank you all for coming, by the way. We had a studio audience all night. They normally would have fun and be clapping, but not, obviously with tonight's news, not a lot to clap about. Stay with the Fox News channel, continuing coverage of this tragic mass shooting in Maine. Our friend and colleague Trace Gallagher picks up reporting right here, right now. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening. I'm Trace Gallagher with breaking news, an edition of Fox News at Night that encompasses all breaking news. We are live in Jerusalem covering the ongoing war in Israel, and we will continue to do so. But right now, there is significant breaking news in the United States. There has been a mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine. Now, that is 36 miles north of Portland, and we are told that at least one, maybe two active shooters have targeted 3 separate locations in Lewiston, including a Walmart distribution center, a local bar, and a third location that has not yet been identified. Now, we are told, and remember, this is the early going, so these numbers may change. A lot of numbers when you're talking about shootings, they change, but you can see at the bottom of the screen, we are told that at least 22 people have been shot and killed, and there are dozens more reportedly
Mark my
injured.
words.
The number we're
People are gonna be
hearing right
constantly
now
like,
is 30,
whatever
and
happened
it's
to the
possible
idea that there was
that
another
one
shooter?
suspect might be in
Why
custody.
aren't we hearing
We
about the
don't
second
know
shooter
that
anymore?
because they are putting out pictures now of a potential suspect, someone carrying a gun. We also have not identified the third location. We can tell you that Lewiston, 36 miles away from Portland, as we said, is very much a blue-collar town. It's home to Bates College, roughly 1,900 students there. But Lewiston is really very much a blue-collar town. I want to bring in Bill Malusian, who's live with the very latest on this. And Bill, tell me what you're hearing about the details of the shooting.
Well, Trace, I can tell you we're listening in on the police scanners, and right now what it appears they're doing is they're looking for that white vehicle that they've put photos out of just a short time ago. I don't know if we have those photos in just yet, but once we do, we can splash them up on the screen. Essentially, the Lewiston Police Department, a short time ago on their Facebook page, put out photos of what appears to be a white Subaru Outback. And they asked the public, if anybody knows anything about this vehicle, please call us, please email us, please reach out to us, potentially because it may belong to this man here. This is the gunman that the Sheriff's Department put surveillance photos of out earlier this evening. You can see he's walking in with some type of a rifle, walking into what appears to be a bowling alley. In some of the other photos, you'll see bowling balls on the left. You can see some of the pins on the door, apparently some Halloween decorations, some of that cotton spider web on the door right there. When the Sheriff's Department put these images out, they said they were responding to, quote, 2 active shooter events. We don't know if that meant 2 shooters or 2 locations at the time. We have since confirmed from law enforcement sources there were shootings at multiple locations. As you mentioned, a bar, a Walmart distribution center, and an unknown third location. I'm being told we've got photos of that car now. This is what the Lewiston Police Department put out just a short time ago. Again, this is going to be a vehicle of interest that we've been listening on the scanners. They've been looking for this vehicle. They're asking for the public to contact them if they've got any information on it whatsoever, pointing out that the front bumper of this vehicle may be painted black. We know that the Central Maine Medical Center, one of the hospitals in town, posted that they are, quote, responding to a mass casualty, mass shooter event. I'm just getting an update now that Central Maine Medical Center is no longer taking any more patients right now. That would go to the cause of there being so many potential patients. Law enforcement sources telling our Jackie Heinrich at least 22 people are dead and around 30 people are injured at least right now. Again, the latest update we're getting, Central Maine Medical Center in Maine, near Lewiston, is not taking any more patients. What we know now, there is a manhunt underway. The Sheriff's Department and the Police Department urging locals lock their doors, shelter in place. We have no updates from law enforcement about anybody being in custody right now. There had been some scatter reports that potentially somebody is in custody. I can tell you we've not heard that from law enforcement, and those are the folks we're going to be waiting for that update on right now. And as long as they're telling people stay in place, there's obviously some potential threat going on in that town. So we advise people listen to law enforcement. The governor of Maine advising locals the exact same thing. She says she has been briefed. This is Governor Janet Mills of Maine. She says she's aware of the situation, has been briefed, and is telling folks to listen to their local law enforcement. But Trace, I think the headline right now, police have put out these images of this vehicle that they're looking for. We've got no confirmation that anybody is in custody right now. They put these photos out about 30 to 45 minutes ago showing this lone gunman walking into what appeared to be a bowling alley armed with a rifle. So we don't have confirmation that this car is tied to the gunman in that photo. However, I think it's safe to say this is a vehicle of interest. They're looking for it. They're asking the public to give them any information. They posted this on the police Facebook page, and I can tell you, I was reading through the comments, the locals out there in Lewiston, they are engaged and they are helping with police. Some people said they saw it down by a river earlier. They believe they saw it parked somewhere. So you're going to have those locals working hand in hand with law enforcement to get those tips in, help the officers try to find this vehicle and see if it's potentially tied to
guy is
the
still at
suspect. But you can
large.
see these are obviously surveillance images we're getting from
But,
what appears
yeah,
to be
Chucky
inside of a
117
bowling
on
alley,
your
and
cell
we don't
phone,
know
keep
where
work.
this image is
Yeah.
coming from. But police are obviously going through any security
But the
footage,
problem with
any
Ron-
photos
with
they
Rawls-
have to try to get this
with Rawls
information
words,
out
as
to
we
the
were saying,
public
it's gonna rise,
as
the
fast
numbers
as
are gonna rise
possible.
because
We
he's
can
on
tell you the Maine State Police is
loose
taking
still.
the
The
lead
only
in
problem
this
with that
investigation.
is
However, law
it's
enforcement sources
fear-mongering
tell
for
Fox
people,
the FBI
number one.
is on scene and is responding and is going to be assisting
but
with
number
this
two,
investigation. And Trace,
there's
obviously,
a huge
the
difference
ATF will be
now
responding
from
as well.
from
Once
an
they get
hour
their
ago
hands on
to
that
now.
gun, they
He's
will
now
run,
being hunted.
an emergency trace on it. We'll send it back to you.
Bill, stand by. if
Businesses
you
have
will,
been
and it
shut
makes
down.
sense
People
because
are in
we're getting
lockdown.
Information now from some of the locals. This picture you're looking at
Most
right here.
people
Keep this up on the
probably know
screen,
what's
Katie,
going on.
Because I think Bill's right on that. We said there was an
It's a lot
unidentified
harder
third
for him to do
location,
with what
and
he
now
was
we're being
trying
told, by
to
the way,
do
from
with
Walmart
abandon.
that this did not happen. We said first because the reports from
So
police
if
came
anything,
in that
he's
it happened,
going-
the
if
first
he's
scene was a Walmart distribution
smart-
center, but now Walmart is saying there was no shooting that
Sorry, it
happened
feels like a
on
dumb
their
word to
property.
use.
We are unclear
But
if that's an indication
logic
the shooting
dictates
might have
to
happened
me
close to the
that
property,
he's most
near the
likely
property, but
trying
Walmart is saying it
to
did
stay
not
hidden
happen on the
this point.
property. But the initial report was the shooter, reportedly the man you are looking at here, walked into some kind of distribution center, some kind of business, and opened fire, and then went to the second location, which, as Bill mentioned, appears to be a bowling alley. The local news stations in Lewiston and Portland are reporting the second location was, in fact, a bowling alley, and the third location was a bar, or as they're specifying, it was a pool hall. So there are three separate locations. It's unclear where the majority of the victims are. Were they in the bowling alley? Were they in the pool hall? And what happened at this apparent number one location? That's a big key. The other concern is, were there more than one suspect? Police are now really telling everybody to shelter in place. There were reports they had a suspect in custody. If that was the case and it was only one shooter,
Chucky
the shelter in
117.
place order would
Actually,
have been let down. It
a lot of
remains, which
reports,
gives us an indication
these places
that they
were
at least believe
in
they are looking
close
for somebody else, or they are
proximity
definitely
to
looking
each
for
other.
somebody else.
The-
I want to bring in
especially
former
the initial
FBI
things.
Special
And
Agent
he
Nicole
had a
Parker.
vehicle.
She's a Fox News contributor
When
and
they
former
don't
DC
know
homicide
right away
detective, and bring in
what
homicide
vehicle they're
detective
looking
Ted
for,
Williams in New York City. He's a lawyer. He's
one
everything
person
investigator. Thank
could
you
have
both for
gone
coming on.
to
Nicole,
multiple
to you
locations
first. You find these three different
in
locations.
very little
You have
time
a shooter go in,
before the
high-powered
police
rifle. We've got 22
are able
confirmed
to
dead
actually do
from police,
much of anything.
and as many as 30 wounded.
It's
That's a lot of
and
bullet
they've
shots in a
only
short
and they've
amount of time.
only released a picture
It's
of
absolutely
one
tragic,
person.
and this is a very, very complex
So,
crime scene for law enforcement.
I-
You're talking multiple crime scenes all at
I can
once.
almost guarantee
But
you.
again, as one of the guests in the previous
We
segment
are
talked
ever
about,
only gonna hear
the law
about one
enforcement is
person
highly
being
trained for
involved.
this. It's called alert
These things
training.
happen
It's the
very
advanced law
quickly.
enforcement rapid response training.
He had
law
a vehicle.
enforcement officers are taught you go
He was
towards
already
the gunfire.
probably to
Whether
the
you're,
second
you
location
have a Glock or a
before
pistol
the
or a
news had
handgun,
ever
you go
even
up
hit
against that rifle and
the
you go in
internet.
there and you save lives. I think it's so important that the
I know,
media, you
and
are instrumental in helping
they're
to
saying
solve
that
a lot
he's
of these
Middle
cases
Eastern,
for
but
law
his name is
enforcement. I
Robert
cannot tell you how
Card.
important it is for the media
That
to continue
doesn't
to report
sound
on this.
Middle Eastern
If
to
the,
me. I'm sorry.
Subject is still on the loose, which
But
we
look up a
understand
picture
that
of
he
Nick
may be. There
Rekieta.
may
Look
be
at Nick
multiple
Rekieta
suspects.
on
Continue
YouTube.
to show the picture. Someone
This man
in
could very
the
well
viewing
be Nicholas
audience knows
Rekieta,
who this person
and
is. It needs to be
Rekieta is
out in
not
the
Middle
media.
Eastern.
If you know who this individual is, you need to contact call 911 immediately. Provide any
But
and all tips to law enforcement
that
right
is
now.
perfectly
If the subject or subjects
valid
are on
thing.
the loose, the law enforcement needs the
But
help of the
as
community.
always,
so the media
there's
needs to
gonna be
continue
a
to
lot
put
of-
out those pictures
a
as
lot of
much as
stuff that
possible
just gets
because that
passed
is
around and
critical
moved
in
around.
finding who this individual was.
Yeah, and if you would stand by, Nicole, before I get to you, Ted, I want to play
when they
some
were
sound.
only
Here are
showing
some
us
of
one
the
picture,
witnesses who were
not
in and
two
around
different
those
individuals.
areas. Watch this.
There should never been any talk in
Thank
the media.
God my son has
that there could
technology
be
where he
one
has
to
a
two people.
smartphone, so he's got
not
the
have done it
scanner, and he's
because-
following it all. So I've had all my friends on the phone with me to make sure they're safe. Until I told them, lock your doors, lock your windows, because you
What
don't know
is
what this
this
person's
individual?
capable of.
I know it's early, Ted,
That
but
was
when you look at
interesting.
the early
All
going,
we're
you
gonna
look
hear
at
is
three
that now is
different
that we're being lied
buildings,
to
three
about who it
different
was and wasn't involved.
locations.
That's all we're gonna hear.
What do you make of this? Does this sound like a spot-to-spot
tell you, when
targeted
stuff like
shooting,
this
something
happens,
else, random?
I wish I
What's
could
your take
avoid
on
the
this,
internet.
Ted?
You know,
I do.
Trace, we
Because
really don't know.
people are going to have me wanting to
I
pull
can
my
tell
hair
you
out.
at each one of these scenes there would be physical
But
evidence
it is
that
what it
law
is.
enforcement have picked up, like cartridges or bullet cartridges, and they're trying to make a decision as to whether they have one or more shooters. At some stage here, and we understand, Trace, very soon, law enforcement are going to come before the cameras. They're going to be able to give us more information. But as Nicole said earlier, one of the things we want to do is to shelter in place. And anybody that has seen anything should contact law enforcement right away and provide that information to them. But this is such a tragedy when you look at the fact that we're talking about, from what we know, 22 individuals who are dead, and there are possibly up to 50 individuals who, by the way, Trace, are injured. But the good thing about it is they have a photo of the guy. They have a long rifle. Again, we don't know if he operated by himself or with others, but they're also looking for a vehicle. And this is where the public can become engaged and they can help. If they know of a white vehicle or a station wagon there with black bumpers on it, they should immediately call law enforcement to let them know about that suspected car.
I've seen a report here that
that's
Robert
good advice,
Card
Ted. And I
served
want to
20
go back
plus
to you,
years
Nicole,
as a
because we
sergeant
can
in
see
the
in the
Army.
right-hand side of our screen, one of the locals there in Lewiston, Maine, is waiting because there is a news conference that is about to be held. And I'm wondering, Nicole, in your assessment of this, is it early in your indication of a news conference to be held? Because I've covered, dozens, maybe hundreds of shootings, and the news conferences are always a little bit later after some of the things have calmed down, most notably after a suspect is in custody, or they're held when a suspect is not in custody and they need help, and they need help fast. What's your take on this?
That's right, Trace. It
So
could
it's
be a
possible
number
that
of
the
reasons
guy
that they're
is
holding it, but this is very
former
good. You want
military.
to have the press conference as quickly as possible. When there's an active
Here's
shooter
some-
event, a
here's
mass
something that's getting
casualty
posted
such as
here. I'll
this
show this to you.
tragedy, there are all hands on deck. You've got multiple.
So Lewiston, Maine active shooter identified by the police as Robert Card. We can hear that on the police scanner. Driving a white 2002 Subaru Outback. Date of birth, I don't really know where. I don't remember them ever saying the date of birth. 22 dead, 60 wanted. Card search, 20 years as a sergeant in the military. It's a screen grab that somebody did.
And that is hopefully what you're going to see next is the press conference, so that you and the community members can be informed, so that you know what you can do to help, and also to let you know, continue to shelter in place. Stay in a safe location and follow what law enforcement tells you. And the way that communication occurs is going to be through this press conference. Until you hear anything, you shelter in place, you stay where you are, and just stay calm.
Yeah, and then we will go back as soon as we find out more information about the news conference. We'll put that lower third down there, that block that had kind of an interesting, we had a reporter in there, kind of some interest of when this press conference and news conference might happen, because that will give us a great deal of information about what's going on. You can see the posture here of the police officers. Again, this was an all hands on deck scene, and there is an abundance of police officers. They came from apparently towns all over, maybe as far as Portland, which is 36 miles away. We want to clarify something we said at the top, because Walmart made a very specific plea saying this did not happen on our property. We were saying, because the initial report said earlier that this was in fact happening on a Walmart distribution center, and then it went on to a pool hall and a bowling alley, or a bowling alley and a pool hall. The number isn't clear, but Ted Williams, when you're talking about 3 different venues and a number of people, I mean, 22 dead, we're hearing 30, 40, 50 may have been wounded. That's a lot of people. And if it wasn't some type of distribution center to begin with, it was at least a place where there were a lot of people.
You're absolutely right, Trace. It was certainly a place where there were multiple amount of people congregating. And certainly, unfortunately, those people were a target under the circumstance. So I don't know if it was a distribution center, but we do know that there was a business. We do know that there was a bar, And we do know that there was this third location. All in each and every one of those locations are crime scenes. And you have law enforcement officers that are processing those scenes as we speak. They are also looking at all of the cameras that they can come across in that area, Trace, to try to make a determination if they can find or see photos of that car or photos of the alleged suspect that we've seen with the long rifle. That's very instrumental. They're probably blowing that photo up as best they can to see if they can get the public's help to be so the public can be engaged in this horrific incident that has taken place, and to help law enforcement to bring this one individual that is known at this time to justice, and to make a determination, as I said earlier, as to whether there are more than one individuals involved. I can tell you at this stage, I am sure that law enforcement officers know as to whether there's more than one individual involved, and perhaps, Trace, at the press conference, we will learn something. But you're right, Trace. Normally, when there's a press conference, it happens after the person is neutralized. It happens when law enforcement is trying to get information out to the public. We don't know which one of the situations. Hopefully, we will learn something very soon.
Hopefully we will, Ted. Thank you very much. Stand by if you would. I want to point out that we keep seeing these pictures. We should note that we talked about Lewiston, Maine. It is Central Maine Hospital that Bill Malugin was talking about earlier. That is the primary hospital that these wounded people would be taken. It is a level 2 trauma center, so it's a high caliber trauma center, which is very good news for those who might be wounded in some capacity, because we have found in our experience when you have a level 2, level 1 trauma center in the area that the outcomes are much better. And sometimes these smaller areas like Lewiston don't have these big top-notch trauma centers. Apparently this one does. So that at least bodes well for those people who have been taken there. And we are told that a number of people have been taken there. Again, if you're just joining us, you can see at the right-hand top of the screen, Lewiston, Maine.
A former
we are
sergeant
now
who
being
served
told
20
that there
years.
was a shooter, at least one shooter. It might have been two. And there might be one of those two in custody, and there might not be. We have gotten no information from police at this point. We can tell you they are at least scheduling a news conference. We do not know at what point that news conference will happen. But there are 22 people that police say are confirmed to have been killed in this shooting that had 3 different locations. You see on the left-hand side of the screen at least 30 wounded. That number could rise. All of these numbers could rise. You go back to the most lethal shooting in history in Las Vegas, and you look at these numbers in the bottom of your screen, and we could be looking at one of the most lethal shootings in American history. I want to bring in David Spunt because the FBI is assisting Maine State Police in this. And David, of course, is our DOJ correspondent with some more information on this. David, what are you hearing about the investigation and what's going on?
Well, I just spoke to a senior source in the Department of Justice, which kind of oversees the FBI. Attorney General Merrick Garland, of course, has been briefed. FBI Director Christopher Wray has been briefed. Just got a statement. It's the FBI Boston office that is handling this. That's the satellite office that's working with the local offices in Maine, though at this point we know that it's the Maine State Police and the Lewiston Police that are handling this investigation. A senior law enforcement source told me to be very careful with the numbers of those deceased and those injured because, of course, those can fluctuate. We want to get the best information from the authorities when we hear from them on camera. And again, those are the people on the scene, the Lewiston Police Department and the Maine State Police. But just generally, the FBI has their evidence response team there. There are SWAT teams there all working together to try to not only help the victims, but most importantly, get this suspect to make sure that this suspect is not harming anyone else again. As you noted, there were some initial reports that there may be more than one suspect. At this point, that's not clear. Obviously, authorities are looking for the person in that picture
but
that
somebody
we see right
put
there,
that
which
out
my
into
source
the
says
ether,
is
so that's
believed
all
to
you're
be
gonna
a
hear now
bowling
is,
alley. We know a bowling
why
alley
are they
is
not
involved
being
as one of
honest
the
that there was a
locations.
second shooter?
So that's where we are right now with the FBI. They are on scene. They are
Happens.
assisting.
I mean,
and
this,
any other
like-
information will pass it along. But the source was
This
very
happens
adamant to be
every
careful
damn time.
about
Every
those numbers
damn
because
time.
those numbers
It
often
never fails.
fluctuate. Trace?
Yeah, that's a very good point, David.
Early
because we have
on,
covered a
there's
number
always
of shootings
speculation
here,
of
and
how
every
many
time they
shooters
give
they're
us
looking
numbers in
for.
the early going, they definitely
Just say,
change. Sometimes,
be on the
sometimes
lookout
they go
with someone
lower.
with a
It's
really big
unexpected, but
honking
sometimes
gun
the death toll
that
goes
just appears
lower.
to be walking
Many
around
times
with
they
it
go
for no
higher.
apparent reason.
The number of wounded always tends to change pretty dramatically at the end of the day.
That's all you
David,
gotta
will
do.
get back to
That's
you
all
as
you
the
gotta
news
do.
breaks. Jump back in.
Will
If
do.
you have information, we'll put you back on. I want to bring in retired NYPD Inspector Paul Morrow with
But
more
they always,
information
there's
on
always
this.
speculation. Always.
Paul, it's great
just
to have
how
you
many
on here.
shooters there
As you look at the
actually
picture on the screen here
Always.
of the suspect that police believe is the suspect in this shooting, you have 3 locations. We said a Walmart distribution center. Walmart has knocked that down, saying, no, it's not us. Did not happen on our property. May have happened near the property, but again, we're getting absolutely no information coming in from police, and then on to a bowling alley or a pool hall, and then to a bowling alley or a pool hall. 3 locations. What's your take when you hear that this person went from place to place to place? It seems like specific intent, Paul. What do you make of it?
So I would offer a couple of things. First of all, one of the hard facts we do seem to have is that a bowling alley was involved. Now, I've been to Lewiston, and it's not a big place. Population is only about 35,000 for the entire town. And my understanding is that if it is the bowling alley in question, there was a bad break here, and maybe it was cognizant, maybe it was not, but this was apparently league night, and there was an advertisement put out that there were no lanes available because this was a night that the bowling leagues all came to the bowling alley to have their games. So unfortunately, that probably meant the place was quite crowded. 3 locations seem to be in the mix. The second one does seem to be a bar. The third one seems to be a little bit vague. The timeline is
And let me just jump in if I can there, Paul, because there is some new information coming in that maybe it was only 2. We said earlier that Walmart came in initially and said, no, it did not happen on our location. So the possibility, and now people are walking this back a little bit, the possibility is this might have only been 2 locations, meaning the pool hall and the bowling alley. And they seem like similar locations. And as you said, league night at the bowling alley, maybe something else going on at the pool hall, but the suspect apparently knew that on a Wednesday night in the Northeast that both of these places would be filled with people. I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, exactly. And, it looks like there's a decent amount of time between the 2 locations. So obviously, look, I think the cops know who he is, okay? I have a name. I'm not going to say it because it's not confirmed.
We've heard.
If I know that, they know that. They know the car. They know who the car comes back to. What they're doing now, as some of your prior guests have alluded to, is they've set up a command post, and they're starting to partition out responsibilities. There are the people who are very kinetic here that are going with long guns to try to find this guy. But there were also investigators. There were people who were doing sort of intelligence work, for a lack of a better word. They're looking back at this guy's past. One of the things they're going to look at is, does he have military
small
training?
town has a
Looks like he's very familiar
to
with
deal
that
with
gun. There
Yeah,
may be another
it's-
clip on that gun. It looks like he was quite ready to do what he did. To get that kind of a body count, you have to say to yourself, he's certainly familiar with guns, and they're going to be looking back at his contacts, where
he's a
he might go
sergeant.
now, where he might seek refuge,
He was
etc.
a former sergeant.
They're also going to be doing a lot of
served in
electronic
the
stuff.
military.
They're going to be looking at his phone. They're going to be looking at his social media.
So,
And
yeah,
they're going to
he's-
try to
he's
scrape where he
familiar
may
with
be
guns.
going now. And they're also going to be looking at various, and now look, this is a rural area outside Lewiston, okay? Maine is a rural state primarily. But what they're going to be looking to do is try to locate the car off of things like a traffic camera, license plate reader, things like that. Try to get the car, because right now the car is key. I'm sure there are investigators already talking to associates of his. And as Ted Williams said, the key question now is, does he have an accomplice? And they're going to be talking to any significant others he has, family, etc. What's his mindset been? Does he have a gripe? What might be the motivation? Those are all clues to what you might be getting next.
Apparently,
so right now, he's not
Lewiston
in custody,
is a very
active
high
situation, but
crime
simultaneous
area.
with all this,
Howard
there
Rourke
is old-time detective work
responded to me on
going
Twitter.
on beneath the surface.
Yeah, and you talk about detective work going
Hours
on. It's
away, but
happening
I've
in the
had to
public
travel
as
there a
well,
lot.
Paul,
When I
because
say
now
it's
we're
bad, I
getting
mean
word that
by
somebody
main
has called
standards
in
for
that they
crime
have
per
spotted
1,000
somebody
residents
who
is
might
in the
fit the
18th
description of the
percentile
suspect,
nationally.
might be driving the description of the car the suspect
So
was in
82%
on Highway
of cities that size
196.
have
And
less
I'm
crime than
unclear
Lewiston.
if
That's
that's going away from
2021 stats
Lewiston
according
or going
to
toward Portland.
Howard Rourke.
So we don't know that. But you look at the different pictures here that police are putting out, and you can see that the shooter is on a different platform in each picture. So these might be different pictures of the different
no more
venues. You
shootings
can
at the
see
moment.
walking
Chances
across
are he's
a
already dead
crosswalk in one of them,
because he ain't
and then the
surrendered alive.
previous one, he's walking across a red
Well,
carpet there. So it's
You know,
interesting
here's
that
another
they're putting out
thing.
different
Like somebody
angles
was
and
like, "Be prepared for there to be more shooters because he hasn't been caught yet." Yeah, he could already be dead. That's not out of the realm of possibility. But the fact of the matter is that he also knows he can't move around nearly as freely as what he was. Because after the second by the time he got to the second location, word had spread about what was happening. The police were involved. You know, I'm just giving you a rough down, probably here what likely happened. He could be trying to evade police. He's not going to be, you would think he would not be actively as trying to go from place to place as what he was. So that's why they can't be sure that he isn't still alive at this point.
You know, if he's from the area, and he probably is, that the bowling alley was going to be filled with people. Look, one of the things I've learned doing these kinds of things, not only responding to them in real life, but then, you know, responding on the air, is that of the first 10 reports that come out of an incident like this, generally the first 9 are wrong. As you said, Trace, these things are breaking fast. We've been through a lot of these. Would look like a Walmart location. Now we're hearing it's not a Walmart location. So we just have to reserve judgment. The police, I'm sure, are on it. You got federal assets now. They're going to be doing everything they can to really look back into this guy's life, to try to see where he might be going, talk to people that might give some indication of what his motive is. But, you know, at the end of the day, all of those things might come up empty. You know, a lot of times you talk to these families and they go, we had no idea. And
Paul,
right now, you don't know what they know.
Let me just jump in very quickly if I can here, because you can see a picture of the hospital right there. We're talking about Central Maine Hospital. Well, one of the local journalists on scene is saying that he's hearing reports that there is a security guard inside the hospital that is now telling people to duck down behind something because there is concern, fears, or some knowledge that this suspected shooter might be doubling back, going to the hospital, trying to get those who were wounded again. So would you find that unusual, Paul? Because it seems like in that state of mind, you would want to flee the scene, not go to a third, possibly fourth scene, looking for some victims that you didn't kill in the first place.
So
It depends
what that
on
indicates to me is that he's on a
the man's
suicide
state of
mission.
mind.
All right, he's got to know that the place is swarming with law enforcement. There's all kinds of assets there.
Let's see if
you know,
there's
I'm sure
a-
he sees all kinds of police all over the place if he actually goes back to the hospital. So that tells me that this guy, unfortunately, is willing to do everything he can to inflict as much damage, to make whatever point it is he's making here. And, you know, hopefully that he is just neutralized before he does anything further. You know, look, I don't know the nature of the injured. I don't know if they're people that are known to him.
Well,
I
at
don't
this
know
point, within the
if some of them are
last
law
12
enforcement.
minutes,
We don't know if he was engaged, and
U.S.
you know, we don't
Emergency
really know
Alert,
very
Maine
much about this.
and
so at this
Androscoggin
point,
County has issued a
the press conference
county-wide
is gonna
shelter.
tell us a lot more. And as your prior guests mentioned, press conference now, while he's unapprehended, is unusual.
That
And I
tells
think
me that
the
this
police,
guy is.
right, they
That
know
was
who he
12
is.
minutes ago on
What they
Twitter.
want to
That's
know now
telling
is
me
A, an
that this
accomplice,
guy
but
is
B,
not
they
in
want to make sure they
custody.
get the word out. Shelter in place. If you know this guy, don't talk to him. Don't open your door to him. And anything that might be helpful to the police, get it to them forthwith, because very clearly this is a dangerous individual.
And previously, Paul, I didn't want to stop you there, but when I was talking about pre-planned, I didn't intend to mean the shooting itself. What I was getting at is, was this pre-planned to go after a certain group of people that he knew were going to be bowling? It's a small area. I mean, it's
Right.
not a big city. It's a small blue-collar town or a smallish blue-collar city. And the concept of going after somebody is, if you knew that so-and-so's bowling league was here, would you go after that specific bowling league? Might this turn out to be a targeted shooting on a mass scale?
So, look, as the old saying goes, love of money, right? And so does he have a gripe against somebody specific? Was he at the bowling alley looking for somebody, didn't find them, and then went to the bar looking for them? Is he doubling back to the hospital now because he feels like a couple of targets got away? Is it something as pedestrian as a gripe about the bowling league? God help us.
Yep.
You really
I'm
hope it's not
trying to
something that's
see-
just so low level, but really there's no motive that explains this. We're going to have to wait and see what he's motivated by, and that is something that you are,
to see if
what you're
there's any
going to
news
is
on the
important,
hospital,
Trace, because this is a
being
question
asked
that
to
the
duck
detectives
down.
are really asking now, anybody they can, because they want to know, is he going somewhere else? If he's got a particular gripe against somebody and he hasn't found that person, or if it's a group of people, is he going around Lewiston or a related area looking for those people? They want to get into his mind as much as they can, harden those targets, and frankly, take this guy out.
Here's the tweet, by the way, Paul. This is from WGME photojournalist. He's saying, quoting, "We are at Central Maine Medical Center in Lewiston, where an armed security guard just advised us to duck down behind a cement wall.
Okay,
as he
let's
said,
go-
the shooter may possibly be in the area of the hospital." And again, that might be precautionary, Paul, but again, it might not be, and it would be very unusual if that were the case. Agreed?
It really would be, and it
Wait a
could
minute, I'm
be
gonna go
something
back here.
as
I was
simple
trying
as
to. Can I
somebody saw a
rewind on
car
my
that looked
thing?
like his
Damn
car,
it.
and it could be a mistaken identity kind of a thing.
Yep.
And so it went out of the airwaves, and everybody's being careful. But it could be. I mean, as I said earlier, we try to rationalize these things as sensible people to make them make sense.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they never do. And trying to piece together why it
can't
happened
find
and
the
how it
Twitter
happened
account they're talking
ends up
about.
often being a very fruitless escapade. I think that the press conference hopefully will tell us a little bit more. I think the cops know a lot more right now. State police, Maine State Police, they're a very capable organization. They have the ticket on this unless it turns into a terrorism thing. And it's going to go into the federal land. But assuming it is what it looks like right now, very capable organization in the Maine State Police. I dealt with them on a couple of things. They know what they're doing. Right now, they're marshaling all their resources. I'm sure that there is an executive in a command post running it. He's got everybody doing what they need to go in the right direction. And one of the things he did quickly, which is a sign of sophistication, is he got an information officer scrambled up to say, stop putting facts together. We have to talk to the cameras sooner rather than later and tamp down some of this speculation. That's a good sign.
Yeah, I want to just point your attention to the lower right-hand side of the screen. You can see somebody is at the podium. This is not the news conference, because when that happens, we will take it live. But apparently there is information being given there. They're kind of setting up so that could happen. That could happen sometime in the next few minutes, and that will be very important when it comes to getting information out to the public. Those are mainly just local TV reporters kind of setting up their microphones and making sure that they're ready when the news conference starts. But when it starts, we will get back to it. Meantime, I want to kind of switch back if I can, because we've been notified that the White House has been notified about this. President Biden is fully aware of this, and we're going to get to Kevin Corke in just moments with an update on the White House reaction. But I want to swing back to Bill Malugin with an update on scanner traffic and possible sightings of the suspect. What are you hearing? What are you seeing, Bill?
Well, Trace, first off, we're hearing chatter that this press conference has likely been pushed back at least 30 minutes. We're hearing the soonest it'll probably be is 11 Eastern, because it sounds like this is a very much active, ongoing manhunt for the suspect. We're listening to the police scanner in that area in the other room, and what we're hearing is there's some sort of a situation in Lisbon Falls, which is about 15 minutes to the southeast of the Lewiston area. What we're listening to is a police helicopter above, a possible sighting of a suspect vehicle, multiple callers calling in saying they potentially saw that vehicle, and it sounds like a vehicle that is similar to that description has been found near some sort of a boat launch in the area. But we can hear the helicopter above even telling the fire department on the ground, stay back, you are quote, way too close to the scene. So everything we're listening to right now, Trace, indicates this is very much an active manhunt. This person is still on the loose, and that is likely one of the reasons why we have not had this press conference yet, because as Paul and others have been saying, typically they like to have these press conferences after a suspect is in custody. And I can tell you, based off listening to the scanner traffic, which again, we have to add with a grain of salt, scanner traffic can be wrong. It often is wrong in early situations when it comes to numbers, that sort of a thing, but it can give you some valuable context into listening to what police are doing right here, right now. And based off that scanner traffic, there is some sort of a situation going on in the Lisbon Falls area, about 15 minutes, southeast of the Lewiston area, with a possible sighting of the suspect vehicle. You heard the White House has been notified. Attorney General Merrick Garland has been notified. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has been notified. The federal government across all branches being notified. I'm just getting told by a producer right now there is now a bolo out. Be on the lookout for a second vehicle possibly involved in these mass shootings, which is being described as a black pickup truck. So that is new information now as well, Trace. We don't have any further details on what kind of a pickup truck that is going to be, or for it's potentially a second shooter involved. Again, all very fluid. We're waiting to get those details, but we can tell you over an hour ago when the Sheriff's Department put these photos out of this gunman, they said they were responding to, quote, two active shooter events. We still don't know if they meant by that two different shooters or two different locations. We're still waiting for some new information on that, but I can tell you, a producer just handing me a sheet of paper, there is a bolo out for a second vehicle possibly involved in this incident, which is a black pickup truck with a black cab. So now law enforcement looking for two vehicles. They've got the white vehicle they've already put the photo out of, if we want to splash that on the screen, which appears to be a Subaru Outback. It is a white vehicle, which police say potentially has a blacked out front bumper. The police department asking anybody to send them information if they've got information on that vehicle. We're listening to an ongoing situation in the Lisbon Falls area where there's a potential sighting of a suspect vehicle. Fire department being told to stay back and a police helicopter circling. And within just the last couple of minutes, apparently a new bolo going out for a second.
All right, so this is some updates from that Twitter account that they mentioned. So there have been numerous helicopters going on, mostly medical choppers, but at least one has been searching the city with spotlight throughout the evening. Right now, us members of the media are holding in a place behind a wall in front of the hospital while an armed security guard is posted on the sidewalk above us. 34 minutes ago, you reported that it's still much an active situation. And he is at the Central Main Medical Center in Lewiston, where an armed security guard has advised us to duck behind a cement wall. As he said, the shooter may possibly be in the area of the hospital. So. I'm going to go take you back to this here. I am going to go and use the restroom.
226109 Adam 7 on a Brown 13 Ford F-150 to a Ronald Richardson at Rangeley. Subject has PFAs against him in 3 sets of bail conditions. 10-3.
That's interesting.
County 22, did you copy? 22, your traffic is very 10-1. Repeat. 6109 Adam 7 on a Brown 13 Ford F-150 to a Ronald Richardson at Rangeley. Subject has PFA against him and multiple bail conditions. 10-3.
51 to 10. Good. 220. We're crossing the Cardigan. I'm doing some open storage units. 51, he should back out of there. I'm far. Quite a ways away from them.
One County. You will get that dispatch to the vehicle.
Okay. I am back. Fox News doesn't really have anything new to report that we didn't already know. So now it becomes just a situation where, you know, they're enjoying listening to themselves talk. And they're enjoying listening to the sounds of their own voice. And of course, trending in the United States right now on Twitter, it's the guns. Hashtag it's the guns. It's the guns. Well, you know, guns don't generally shoot on their own. I mean, on a rare occasion they misfire, I suppose. And just FYI, I do not pretend to know what the ultimate solution here is. I just know that probably, but our gun rights are not debatable. They're not debatable. According to the Constitution. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Let's see what Twitter is saying. This is who police are on a massive manhunt for. So another person in mainstream media is finally confirming it here. Suspect identified Robert Card 39 is being identified as a suspect still at large after mass shootings in Lewiston. Kill at least 16 people. That number could climb tonight. And they're showing the same image that we've seen multiple times. They're just showing that. I don't know really what took them so long to, like, officially announce what we heard on the scanner. But I don't know. I figured we'd have the press conference before they'd ever say, this was what's going on, this is what we know. We haven't even had the press conference yet. Teabagging therapist. The final solution, if you will, you know, talking about last or alternate solutions is a dog whistle. What? Dog whistle. What is a dog whistle? You guys teach me so much. I hear such interesting things. Oh boy. So if you might remember, we heard something about, I don't know if I was playing it for you. It's still up. They're just not saying anything. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize what you were saying, Truckee 117. You can't hear it, but it brings the pack. You're talking. Never mind.
County all units. Bolo for a black pickup truck with a cap, vet plates, unknown reg. Possible second suspect involved in the shooting incidents in Lewiston was circling the Sabatis area with its hazards on. Again, Bolo for a black pickup with a cap and vet plates, unknown reg. Circling the Sabatis area of Cumberland Farms with its hazards on. Possible second suspect involved in the Lewiston incidents.
I don't remember. It was quite some. Let's see. It's.
County all units. Bolo for a black pickup truck.
Some time ago that we heard anything about that. I really wish that they still weren't talking about the possibility of a second suspect, because I don't understand why they haven't released 2 photos. Why are we only seeing 1 photo and heard 1 name? Like. Type in something here. There's already things being reported that is not true.
7 and 9. We just had a truck go by us that was towing a trailer, and it had 1 tire that looked like it was flat. It was causing a lot of noise. I'm assuming that was it.
Truckee 117. We still didn't get the transgender manifesto. What are they hiding? The trans manifesto. You'll never see it because it'll expose the ideology for what it is. I mean, maybe I've heard. I haven't really heard much about it anymore. It seems to me something like that should be discoverable via Freedom of Information Act. I don't know why some of these. I don't know if that's been tried and they got denied.
County, I'll do so.
There's been so many. I don't remember the Buffalo shooting. There's sadly been way too many.
Temple.
So here's something interesting from Rawls Alert. I had kind of heard something to this effect, but I didn't know how to verify any of it. Oh, guy walked into a supermarket, started shooting black people. Truckee 117. I think I remember that. I kind of remember that one. Well, let me show you this. I like to make sure that it's actually appearing on screen the way I want it to. There we go. Okay. Because it's a few minutes behind. The Maine State Police is to locate Robert Card as a person of interest in disregarding a mass shooting incident at Schiemann Seed Bar and Grill Restaurant in the Spare Time Recreation in Lewiston, Maine. Card is a trained firearm instructor believed to be in the Army Reserve stationed out of Saco, ME, which I guess, I feel like that's Maine, yeah, it's Maine. According to law enforcement, Card recently reported mental health issues to include hearing voices and threats to shoot up the National Guard base. Card was also reported to have been committed to mental health facility for 2 weeks during summer 2023 and was released. So yeah, bring back, yeah, bring back the mental health centers. Sometimes they release people though. You know, there's never anything that's 100% guaranteed. There's never anything 100% guaranteed to stop instances like this. You just can't. Card was last known to be operating a main registration 9246 PD 2013 white Subaru Outback with a black bumper. The subject should be considered armed and dangerous. Caution should be used if contact is made with Card or the vehicle. So there you go. So that is just information that I reported earlier about him being an Army Reserve. In the Army. I didn't realize that he was in the Army Reserves. I thought he was former. Turns out he was in the Reserves. So, yeah, we also have no motive on Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't believe they ever released a motive for that. I don't know. You know, we always want a motive. We always want an explanation for these things, but I mean, what is that? What good does a motive actually do us? Like, what difference does it actually end up making? What the reason was? Do we want to believe that it's just evidence that it was the government behind it? Truckee 117. I thought I remember that being kind of vaguely discussed. I don't know. It's been too long. It's been too long since I've looked into it or heard anything about it. I was trying to save this. Where did it end up saving it to? Supposedly saved it to downloads. Okay, there it is. Let's see. I'm wondering, I'm trying to do this in a way that I can keep this image up here for people who join the live stream. One of these days I'm going to figure out a better way of doing this, but I haven't been able to figure it out. See? Telling me MJ refused to connect. And I don't freaking understand why. It's not giving me the right kind of inbound code that I need for it to work. I don't know, maybe I can do it this way. Nope, still won't do it. I don't know, to me, it's not any different than when I share an article. And it works. So fucking annoying. It literally makes me want to just say and do unkind things. Because this is important information. If I'm trying to report on shit, I need to start figuring out a way to keep that image here that you're looking at on screen all the time instead of giving a fucking error message. Just don't get it. I don't understand what I have to do to get it to work right. I'm thinking about emailing the person who does this and say, teach me how to do this better. Because your thing is great, but it really, at times, infuriates me. Well, since we're not really hearing much, I'm just gonna keep this up. I'm gonna scroll through Twitter looking for shit. And I'm gonna start trying to do... I'm just gonna have to look at website after website after website, saying, will you allow me to input this on this website that allows me to more easily share multiple things at once? And just keep testing it out and testing it out until I find me something. Charlie D'Angelo. Someone was like, the petitioner's name needs to not trend on Twitter. Fuck that. Ugh. So Charlie D'Angelo on Twitter is saying, so let me get this straight. Robert Card, former military of 22 years, extremely dangerous, but not the military from other countries coming across our southern border. Okay. And the mainstream media are pushing this narrative hard, plus it takes your attention off the Israel war. Dude, facts are facts. What? I'm gonna respond to this. Twitter likes to point out that he looks like, well, guess what? He actually is white. Yeah. Teabagging therapist. I mean, I guess, I'm sorry. I guess I get what you're saying. But... in most shootings, race has nothing to do with anything. And part of the reason that they were pointing out that he looks white is because everybody was wanting to say initially that they automatically wanted to assume that this guy was Muslim. There was earlier reports that, well, he looks Middle Eastern. Nick Rekieta, by the description that we've seen of this man, looks Middle Eastern, but he's not. The guy had a beard and brown hair, and suddenly he's Middle Eastern. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. And that's why people were kind of commenting, but he looks white. Well, he is white. There really is no way for the news media to report on this on a way that's not going to hack some people off. There's just, it's unavoidable. Maybe, yeah, you can argue that it's taking the attention off the Iraq War, but there's really... What is new to report about the Iraq War? Breaking news. They continue to bomb Hamas into oblivion. And what else is there to say? I can almost guarantee you there isn't much more to report than that. But to make people happy, I can put up a Israel live stream if you want me to. I can put up the skyline here. Because there is one up. And guess where it's from? It's from mainstream media. People just don't seem to understand. There's this thing called a news cycle. Eventually, other things start happening, and it's kind of like, oh, squirrel, you know? Like, when's the last time that you ever hear about Hawaii and the end results of the fires? When? You know, it's just kind of the reality of the way things work. Alright, see here? Okay, here we have the Israeli live stream. There we go. What? Well, I mean, I don't care about people who call me goyim and infidel killing each other. See, I don't know. I don't get called that. And what exactly have we funded? You mean like giving them the Iron Dome, or our money goes everywhere? I will tell you this. I have kind of gone, like, waffled back and forth about the whole Ukraine crap. There are some schools of thought of this, okay? Just hear me out for a second. I think that countries are allowed to band together and tell another country, you are doing things that creates a world we don't want to live in. We don't want to live in a world where you're bombing a hospital. Like what Russia has done in Ukraine. They recently blew up a, what was it? A mail facility. Blew up a mail facility. Killed I don't know how many people that had nothing to do with their war. They were just going about their day, trying to deliver the mail. They destroyed it. Why? Russia did that. It's a war crime. And to our knowledge, there was no military interest that facility had. They just delivered mail. There was a theater that was destroyed. They have had children that have been kidnapped, just like Hamas has children. I believe that countries are allowed to band together and say, this is not a world where we want to live in. Your actions make us less safe.
Devil.
I'm assuming that you're talking about what we did in World War II. If we did that now, war crimes are fake or made up. And I'm just, God, I'm not even going to do that debate with you. At any rate, countries are allowed to band and say, you know what, your actions make us less safe because X, Y, and so we don't want to do that. I don't believe that it has anything to do with trying to be the parent of the free world. Like somebody about, we gotta stop trying to be the dad of the free world. To me, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that you believe right is right, wrong is wrong, and you're going to call it out. I don't understand why it's so evil and wrong for the U.S. to sometimes do that. Now, do we need to be sending money endlessly? And here's another thing I want to point out. The dog whistle has been, we're sending X, Y, Z. Most of it is not actual cash. It is weapons. It is the value of the weapons. And I just kind of wish... You don't understand. When you don't frame it for what it actually is, you end up losing the argument. Frame it for what it actually is. And why it's wrong. And then you can talk about why it's wrong. Anyway. But here's the thing. The U.S. is, well, an ocean away from Ukraine. Continents and oceans away. Poland, Turkey, all those other countries that kind of border there or within that facility would say, hey, you know what? Russia, chill the fuck out. I don't blame them for saying so. But the problem, so that would be like, you know, like, say, Mexico and us started fighting over Texas again. For whatever stupid reason. We all know how that would end. Mexico, I'm pretty sure would get their asses kicked. But let's say that happened. Why should, I don't know, France be like, now kids, you shouldn't be shouldn't be fighting like this. You need to just chill it out. You weren't here. This is not your problem. This is our problem. So, and to me, there is a moral thing. And there was a time when Christians would have been like, well, you know, the Bible kind of says, unto the least of these, what you do for them, you also do for me. There are just all sorts of things that they would try to use in scripture about being like, we have to stand up for what is just and right. But it's not sustainable for us to do what it is that the world wants us to do. It's just not. You have to be realistic. We can't fund this war indefinitely. If the other countries that live in that area, if they want to say, you know what, this is not the kind of world we want to live in, and we believe that your actions endanger all of our security, then you're talking about a different issue. They should be allowed to stand up to it if they want to. But honestly, I'm to the point where I'm like, all for an aid. We should just be like, y'all are on your own. That means Israel too. And be like, you're on your own. The Bank of the U.S. is closed. Closed. We are not open for business anymore. I'd be totally fine with that.
I'll call you.
Everybody has been like, we're sending so much to Ukraine. Wah. Do you realize that for years it has not been just Ukraine that we've sent loads of money to? Oh, look. They're zeroing in on something that's happening over here. Guess we'll find out what that's all about. Oh, I know. Gender studies in Pakistan. Complete and utter bullshit. But, see, here's the thing. You may have been pointing that out, Teabag Therapist. But my God, I wish everyone that has been crying buckets and tears and throwing an absolute fit over just Ukraine would have been
Sergeant Cheney is going to be relieving 16, but we don't have cruisers here. I'm going to be transporting some back to the call set.
Shit, he was probably saying something. Would be raising the same fit about all the other ways. But honestly, good luck.
County 32.
And he has been
33, go ahead.
Throwing the
33, would you be able to make your way to 230 Swamp Road, 1055, car versus deer, airbag deployment,
how much time
unknown
did he
PI?
ever spend talking about what we fund? No.
Durham, sorry about that.
Makes me want to think, like, well, why has this become such the inflection point? What is it about just this? Why didn't we raise a big deal a long time ago out of this? Why weren't we beating a dead horse over this? Why has it just been Ukraine? Why? I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes me wonder, is there something else going on here that I don't understand? It does. I don't know. Current thing.
Got that information from us.
Okay, here we go.
So that we knew that it was accurate. And that is
I don't know about you all, but I can barely hear him.
Standpoint and from a public safety standpoint, that we have a unified front with this information as we release it. The delay in coming here with.
And they switched off. Well, that's a fine how do you do. Okay. Let's see if this is better.
Moving forward, we would got that information from us so that we knew that it was accurate. And that is incredibly important for all of us from an investigative standpoint and from a public safety standpoint, that we have a unified front with this information as we release it. The delay in coming here with you now is simply because we will have to confirm information from our end. We want to make sure the information we're giving you and the information that goes out to the general public is accurate. So we do have some information here that we will release. It is here on the podium. And this is a general caution to the public that approximately 6:56 this evening, a couple of shooting incidents occurred here with multiple casualties in the city of Lewiston. And police are currently searching for a Robert R. Card, 4/4 of 1983 of Bowdoin. Card is considered armed and dangerous. He is a person of interest, however, and that's what we'll label him at moving forward until that changes. If people see him, they should not approach Card or make contact with him in any way. The shelter-in-place order that currently stands in Lewiston remains. A vehicle, which was a vehicle of interest in this incident, was located in Lisbon, and we are now also asking residents in Lisbon to shelter in place. So please share that information with communities as well. If anybody sees Mr. Card or has any additional information reference to these two shootings in the city of Lewiston, please contact 911. If they see anything suspicious, please feel free to call their local authorities. We have literally hundreds of police officers working around the state of Maine to investigate this case, to locate Mr. Card, who again is a person of interest and a person of interest only. And we'll continue to gather information so that we can bring the suspect to justice and ultimately seek prosecution down the road. This release also includes a photo, which I believe I have seen from various sources. I would also let you know that we have created a reunification location, and that would be at the Auburn Middle School, so in the neighboring community of Auburn, at 38 Falcon Drive. Again, that's the Auburn Middle School. And when I say reunification center or location, what that means is that if somebody has a question or they have a concern, they can't find a loved one, they believe that a friend or a family member may be involved in what occurred here tonight in Lewiston, that they could respond to that location. We will have some of our behavioral health liaisons, counselors on site, and we'll also be providing information as it becomes available to us. As you can imagine, and as you know, there are multiple scenes in the city, to include multiple hospitals, multiple follow-ups, a lot of witnesses we're speaking with, and a lot of leads. The general public has been very cooperative and very forthcoming with information. So I would expect if we have additional information, we'll be happy to come back and share it with you. I know that from the city of Lewiston standpoint, probably going to close City Hall after this briefing and probably move everybody out. But again, we appreciate your partnership and your patience. I would offer to take questions just so you know that I probably won't have answers. And as long as you know that going in, there's no disrespect intended in that. Feel free to ask a couple, and if I think we can get there, then I'm happy to answer those. If not, we do have work to do on behalf of our communities, and that's our primary focus this evening.
There are many specific figures about casualties are out there. The Sheriff Sampson told me up as many as 20. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to set the record straight on that.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. And I know that there's been a lot of numbers out there. This is a very fluid situation. So the last thing I want to come up is give you a number and then 3 hours from now change that in one direction or another. So I don't have.
I'm going to be honest. This is highly unusual for them to not
give
us
us
some kind of number.
With you, because it's an important piece of healing and it's an important piece of information for all of
That's
us to be aware of.
very highly unusual.
But I don't have a firm number on that.
But at least 16, right?
I think I just answered that question to say that I'm not going to give you any specific numbers. And there's
That's
been a lot
really
of numbers all over the map all evening, and I don't think that that's helpful because it doesn't help family members. It certainly doesn't help the community to see, well, they just said this and they said that. So if you want accurate information, I'm prepared to give that to you when I have it. I don't have that right now.
Does the suspect have any known criminal history with law enforcement, and is he someone who's been on the radar of state police or local police, to your knowledge?
Well, Mr. Card, who we're speaking about right now, is a person of interest and a person of interest only, right? I'm not listing him as a suspect at this point, and we're not prepared to go into his background or anything else.
What? Then why is
One more
the...
question?
You're only looking for one shooter, correct?
We're looking for this person of interest right now.
What
and,
the
and that's
hell?
what we'll label and list and speak about at this particular moment. When we have additional information, I'm happy to share that. So
Then
thank
why
you
did
very
you
much. I
go
appreciate
to
that.
the main
Again,
information
thank
and
you for your
analysis
time.
center?
And I know Assistant City Manager O'Malley.
They're
will
giving us all
make,
kinds of
arrangements,
information.
I think, to move everybody out of the building. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. These are the flyers that we were mentioning. So feel
What the hell?
And we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, what he was saying there, by the way, is he's talking about little flyers that have Robert Card's face
That
on
has
them,
to be
kinda
the
back
most
to Nicole
pointless
Parker, if we
presser
can bring her back
in the
in here.
history of mass
So-
shooting pressers. No, I'm satisfied with the idea that they know who it is, dude. I'm satisfied with that. But I know... Oh, God. I know how this goes. And I know that the internet is never going to stop debating the idea. And never trying to say, no, look at these two pictures. It's just never gonna end. It's just never gonna end. I'm satisfied with the way that they generally always label these people as people of interest. But I'm pretty sure that there's a good darn reason that they're probably labeling him as a person of interest. But ugh. This is what I can hate about trying to cover these issues. This is just what I hate. But I'm satisfied that that they know who it is. Personally, that's just me, but for whatever reason, this particular city and the way they want to handle it is they want to get this guy in custody, find out if he has the weapons on him, that sort of thing, before they say, yeah, he's our guy, for whatever reason. And I hate that they're doing that, because this is what I'm gonna constantly hear. They should have been able to give us a freaking number. That was stupid on their part. That was stupid to not say, this is how many people are currently being treated. Unless they're still counting bodies. That's just crazy. But see, look at this though. That we shared earlier. That you didn't want to go into the guy's background, but look. This is a main government website. Like, so the way they're handling it is it's just making everything worse. But honestly, this is all we're gonna get. So you know what? Let's just go about talking about countries being bombed to oblivion. And why we have to stay the hell out of it, because it's not my country that's being bombed. It's not my aunt, uncle, or cousin that's getting blown apart. So, cheers. I'm old enough to remember when, Republican Party was not isolationist. So, it's kind of it's taken me a little bit to kind of wrap my head around that, but No, the government gets things wrong. But, oh God. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the government never gets things wrong. Well, let's see. Anything worthwhile you're reporting before I go ahead and I just say, you know what, calling it a night. I stayed home from work because it was too hard for me to sit in the chairs at work. Chair I have here in my office isn't nearly as bad, but I also spent like an hour with a heat pad on. So, something has apparently been bombed. As far as I know, both of these are live. Both of these are live, as far as I know. Let's see what, Twitter is reporting. Well, here's something from Matt Gaetz.
Somebody just held somebody back. Kevin McCarthy going head-to-head with Congressman Matt Gaetz after
The House Conference is united for the first time in this Congress. We are united behind a mandate faith to obey God and the Constitution before all else.
This week
I'm proud to support our new Speaker, Mike Johnson. I'm going to do everything I can to make him successful.
Any colleague give Speaker McCarthy credit.
Kevin McCarthy was ousted from his role as Speaker of the House by fellow Republicans. Buckle up
for a fight. We'll see.
He said it, he did it, and he's here. Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, my live guest in studio in Washington.
Optimistic.
I know it was a busy day on the floor. Thanks for being here.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Welcome to you to Washington. We're glad to have you here. Here I am. Let's get right to it. What does today's Speaker vote mean? And did you last time?
No side deals. This Speaker election means that the House Republican Conference is united, really, for the first time this Congress. We are united behind a man of deep faith who obeys Almighty God and the Constitution before all else, and I was proud to support him. He's not someone who comes from any particular faction of the Republican Conference.
I don't know about that.
Well, he has strong relationships from our most moderate members to our most conservative members. And you know what? Everyone feels listened to with Mike Johnson. He has a great tone, a great...
Well, what does that mean, though, when everyone feels listened to? Like, listened to as in, you know, it gives everybody a little bit of something of what they want? Because you can listen, but does he give them what they want? The only way people generally feel like you're listening to them is if you're giving them something. So
leadership skill stack, and I'm going to do everything I can to make him successful.
One of the things that you and several Republicans got changed at the beginning of the year was you made it easier to remove a speaker in real time. Then you exercised that authority. So people are seeing a Congress, a set of news cycles here that are because of what you guys did. We're told that that continues. So will you be as eager to use that rule to topple this speaker as McCarthy, or this was kind of one and done for you?
Well, we have Republicans and Democrats who are interested in raising the threshold for the motion to vacate beyond just one member. And just this morning, I met with Speaker Johnson about that and about those desires. And here's what I've offered. Ro Khanna of California, a Democrat, and I have worked on some bipartisan anti-corruption rule changes for the House that wouldn't allow members of Congress to become lobbyists or registered foreign agents, that wouldn't allow members of Congress to accept donations from lobbyists and political action committees, and that would stop members of Congress from trading individual stocks. So if we could approach that Khanna-Gates anti-corruption agenda with great vigor, then I might be willing to consider an increase in the threshold on the motion to vacate.
So you could raise the threshold, which makes it harder to toss somebody. Do you have any idea whether Mike Johnson is worried that you guys will do this again? I mean, I said one and done because, yes, you could technically do it, but if you keep doing this, right, that's going to complicate a lot of your party's governing agenda.
I do not want your viewers to get the impression that I want to govern by motion to vacate. This was something that we had to do because Kevin McCarthy had lied to us. You know, the one thing that...
So it was a McCarthy thing for you?
Well, undeniably, if Kevin McCarthy had maintained his commitments to pursue single-subject spending bills, if he had released the January 6th tapes, if he had called for the votes on a balanced budget amendment and term limits as he had promised, then he would likely still be Speaker today. It wasn't about the man so much as his unwillingness to adhere to the agreement that he had made.
Well, you know, we keep it real around here, and I appreciate you coming on. It seems sometimes somewhat about the men, because you seem to have beef with him and him with you. It did seem at times to get quite tense. Let me ask you about the funding.
Well, that's not true, though. I want to push back on that because I can cite specific things that Kevin McCarthy agreed to do.
I tell you what,
and the
you
reason
tell
I brought
me
this motion to vacate is when I went home to my constituents, they looked at me and said, Matt, you promised us a term limit vote. You promised us a balanced budget vote. He's not doing these things, and you said there was a one-person motion to vacate, so it was really accountability for policy and procedure failures more than it was any beef.
We have informed viewers, and they've lived through it and watched it all, so they can adjust and assess what you're saying based on what they saw, because we saw that. But I do want to get you, while I have you on, one of the things that you all said was bad was
this guy have, like,
that you said Kevin McCarthy was working with Democrats and doing so in the wrong way. Let me show you. Take a look.
His nose looks weird. Is it just a shadow from
Working
his
with
nose?
the Democrats is a yellow brick road that has been paved by Speaker McCarthy.
The Speaker fought through 15 votes in January to become Speaker, but was only willing to fight through one failed CR before surrendering to the Democrats.
The only time that we lost the conservative agenda was when Kevin McCarthy went behind the Republican conference and was able to retain a majority
Teabagin, I hate to
of
break it to
Democrat
you,
votes.
but that isn't always BS.
You and others said that. And yet, this is the question I've been dying to ask you. I haven't seen you in person since this all went down. Look at this chart. Congressman Gates. You.
I know. I see. I voted for Trump twice, but I will say that sometimes it's BS. Sometimes it isn't. It's not just social justice warrior bullshit. It's sometimes a black person is not always treated the same. I'm sorry. That's not what everybody wants to hear. For whatever reason. But a lot of what people keep saying about Vivek Ramaswamy, guess what I wouldn't be hearing if he was a white Catholic dude? Pretty much 99% of what everyone keeps saying about him. So, trust me, I've had to see a lot of wringing of hands, but he sounds like Obama 2.0. What? Oh, but he's not a Christian. He's a different religion. Oh no. If you do not understand that this is sometimes true, you haven't been paying attention to what's been happening in courts lately. I'm sorry. I once got racially profiled as a white person. There, around Christmas one year, somebody stole some artwork from our hospital close to us, and I was taking the bus to work, and I was waiting in the lobby where it was warmer, and this guy approaches me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And, I was like, oh, dear. Like, I was like, let me guess, I'm not allowed to wait in the lobby. And they're like, no. You match the description of a white person who stole something. And they ended up asking for my ID. I look back at it now, and I think I could have possibly refused to talk to him. I don't know if it was actual police officer or whether it was just a security guard, but he took my ID and he ran it. Oh my god. It's beginning. It's beginning. No! Stop! Twitter, stop! Make it stop! I sometimes wish I could just avoid the internet after tragic things happen. I just want to scream. Well, let's see. What is some last minute things here that I can cover? Because I'm pretty sure I need to get some heat on my sore muscles. Oh, check this out. Israeli airstrikes take down building in Gaza. Allegedly. Yeah, this could be a video of anything. Absolutely fucking anything. Wow. Wow. This could be, I mean, seriously, this could be something from 2 years ago, just because they say that it's... Wow. Okay, so 26 minutes ago, here was an update. The IDF conducted airstrikes against 2 Syrian military positions in southwest Syria on October 24th and an airstrike on the Aleppo International Airport runway on October 25th. The IDF conducted airstrikes against 2 Syrian military positions in southwest Syria on October 24th, marking the first time the IDF has publicly targeted Syrian military since the Israel-Gaza war began. The IDF has used artillery in response to militant attacks from Syria from Syria to northern Israel since October 7th. CTB-ISW has recorded 3 instances of Iranian-backed militants in Syria firing rockets at northern Israel since October 7th. The IDF has responded by firing artillery into Syrian territory. The Syrian Arab Army also conducted a mortar strike into the Golan Heights after IDF airstrikes on the Aleppo and Damascus on October 12th. The IDF has used artillery to strike SAA positions in southwestern Syria on several occasions in 2023. The IDF targeted the Syrian 5th Division, including the 12th Armored Brigade in Izaraha Daraha province. The IDF also struck SAA weapons depots and radar systems in Quaifa Dara province, southwestern Syria. Syrian news agency Sana reported the strike killed 8 SAA soldiers and wounded 7 others. The IDF said airstrikes were in response to rocket attacks from Syria into northern Israel. The IDF dropped leaflets claiming that the SAA is responsible for attacks from Syria to Israel and warned that attacks from Syria would be met with an iron hand. The statement specifically named the Syrian commander in the 112th Mechanized Brigade, which is a component of the Syrian 5th Division. Whew. The IDF Air Force conducted an airstrike on the Aleppo International Airport runway on October 25th for the 4th time since October 7th. This was the 6th strike on Syrian airports total since October 7th. Militants will likely respond with indirect fire attacks, which is consistent response to Israeli airstrikes into Syria since the war began. Iranian-backed militants continue to move into areas in Syria, boarding the Golan Heights on October 24th. Wow. Okay, so here's an interesting map. Let's check this out. Yeah, I remember the Ghost of Kiev. And I did hear something about it being a video game. At least the images that they were showing. Iran and its so-called axis of resistance are pursuing a coordinated strategy to 1. Deter Israel from trying to destroy Hamas in the Gaza Strip. 2. Prevent Israel from destroying Hamas if deterrence fails. And 3. Deter the U.S. from providing military support for Israel's ground operation in the Gaza Strip. Israel-Hamas war as of October 25th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Hamas fired long-range rockets targeting cities in northern and southern Israel. So they're saying that was coming from this area. Iranian-backed militants targeted U.S. forces in the Middle East for the 8th consecutive day. Clashes and demonstrations West Bank increased after calls from the Lion's Den. I don't know what the Lion's Den is. Iranian-backed militants continue rocket and anti-tank missile attacks on IDF barracks and infrastructure. We've got boom booms. Alright, I'm gonna be around, but I need to eat something. And it's important that I get up every once in a while and I walk. Or I get too stiff. There really isn't all that much to report right now, so I'll be back in a little bit. I'm not sure how much longer I'll keep the stream up. Alright. I'm calling it a night, everybody. Stay safe. God bless. God bless America. God bless Israel. Peace.